We've got 15 of the most upvoted Am I the A-hole Reddit stories for the month of June. This is a series on my channel where I compile all the best Reddit stories chosen by Reddit from specific subreddits. For my returning viewers, y'all know that sometimes there are some repeats in these, but I haven't made an Am I the A-hole video in a while, so all these stories are brand new. Starting the brand new stories off, with Am I the A-hole for not taking my father's minor children into consideration when I sued him for the inheritance he stole from me? But stick around for more absolutely insane Am I the A-hole Reddit stories, such as Am I the A-hole for getting a new nurse fired for accusing me of having an affair with my father? And the story that this video ends off on, Am I the A-hole for telling a woman at the gym that she's embarrassing herself? And this story does have 3 updates to it. Juicy Reddit stories for you guys. Y'all know the drill. Let's lock in here and read some Reddit. Am I the A-hole for not taking my father's minor children into consideration when I sued him for the inheritance he stole from me? My mom died when I, 22 female, was 10, and in her will, she left me an inheritance of more than $100,000. My dad was left in charge of it, but after he remarried, him and his wife wanted to start a business together. And they used the money my mom left me to open it. Dad and I argued about it at the time, but I was 15 and he kept insisting it was good for the whole family and how it was better used to help everyone than being thrown away on random shit when I turned 18. What the fuck? That's actually so fucking fraud of the dad. That is insane. Our relationship was over before I moved out of his house at 18. I had made his and his wife's life miserable for stealing from me, and once I was out of there, I looked into how I could get that money back. I pressed charges against him for stealing from me, and I sued him for the money. I had the support of my entire extended family on my maternal side and some on my paternal side. But I was told by others on the paternal side to consider my dad's other kids and the devastation that kind of financial upheaval could bring. I ignored those comments. I knew waiting would prevent me from ever getting the money, and I honestly did not care about his family's financial security after being stolen from. Yeah, bro, honestly, fuck that family. Hey, here's an idea. The dad could have not been a shitty person and stole the money. Oh, hey, that guy shot you, but instead of pursuing criminal charges, you should really think about that guy's kids. Said no one ever. It was a long-ass process, and I needed to return to court a few times because he was just like, I can't pay. I don't have the money anymore. In the end, they were forced to give up the business and it was sold to pay me the money back, and he had to pay additional out of his paycheck, which made him empty their savings. So his wages weren't garnished anymore. By the time I got it back, I was 100% done and past the point where we could ever reconcile. He made me fight so hard for what was legally mine, and he stole money my mom left me to support his new family. My relationship with some of my dad's side is not so strong anymore, and they think it was wrong that I focused only on what he did and not the effects for his kids. Yeah, fuck that family. I don't know why you're entertaining them. It is just objectively wrong to take $100,000 from your child that was left by said child's dead mother and your previous wife. I'm sorry, but if you don't see what's wrong with that, you're probably not a good person to stay in contact with. Go no contact. Fuck this family. I mostly don't talk to those family members now, but they ask me how I feel zero guilt for it when the kids are innocent and are still my siblings technically, that they would have thought I'd want better for them. Why are we blaming the victim here? Hey, maybe we should be blaming the dad for making an insane fucky wucky that affected his kids that could have been easily avoided if the dad hadn't made said fucky wucky. I don't feel bad, I never have, but am I the a-hole for not taking the kids into consideration? Is that something I should have done? I feel like that's just really unfair to me and locks me into never being paid back. I don't think I owe those kids that. Even though these kids are innocent, it's not you who fucked them over, it's the dad. The family's blame is completely and utterly misplaced. You should just block them and never think about this again. It really goes back to what I said. If somebody commits a crime and then receives punishment for that crime, and said punishment affects their family, it's not the person who pursued justice for the crime's fault that the family's affected by that. It's the person who committed the crime fault. And in this case, that person is this shitty ass dad. If I were OP and I was hearing this from family, I would be like, hey, this is the last time you're gonna hear from me. I am the victim here. The real person to blame is my dad. My dad fucked over not only me, but his kids because I had to be the bad guy, which really you're the good guy here, but OP had to be the bad guy to get the money that was owed to them. If I was OP, I'd be like, okay, like I'll give them their money back if you give me $100,000. That'll shut them the fuck up so fast. Like, oh, if you want to fucking complain about it, like, give me the money. Oh, losing $100,000 isn't a big deal? Gimme. Come on. Where is it? Oh, you don't want to tear the family apart? That's fine. Where'd that 100K at? Like, fuck them, bro. I taught about melanin and now my client is mad at me. So I, 16 male, do a nursery program at my Methodist church. And one day, 2 of my students asked why they looked different. One was black, the other was white. So I explained melanin. Nothing biased at all, just simple genetic sciences, not anything radical. So the day ends and they tell their parents excitedly. The white family was furious, while the black family was very happy. They assured me that I did a good thing, while the white family asked why I would teach critical race theory to a 4-year-old, even though the head teacher said I handled it well. I just can't help but worry I crossed a boundary, or did I just save that white kid from misunderstanding race in the future? No, bro, if the parents are getting mad for you explaining how science works, that's on them. Are you kidding me? Imagine being like, oh, hey, my kid was explained how melanin works and why someone looks different from him. I'm gonna get mad. Huh? They have to be shucking off the orange Oompa Loompa for them to be that brain dead. Unreal. Critical race theory. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? Yeah, they spend way too much time on Facebook. Edit 1. I emailed my pastor and explained. He told me not to worry about it, and if the family had any more comments, they can talk to him, and said he'd explain basic genetic sciences. I love my pastor. He's super cool. Edit 2. Wow, did not expect the support. Thank you all so much. We got everything resolved. Have a great day. Edit 3, I worded something weird and wanted to clear it up. Bro, that's so funny. OP is a much better person than me, because if somebody said that to me, I would literally say to their face, are you fucking stupid? Do you bash your head against a brick wall in your free time? Because you have to have brain damage to have said what you just said to me. Way too nice. Way too nice. I would be such a fucking dickhead. I'd bully them, and they would deserve it. 100%. Am I the a-hole for not skipping a work trip because my husband is recovering from a hair transplant? My husband flew overseas for a hair transplant. We have 2 children under 7. I work full-time in a stressful corporate role. He never plans or researches in advance. I am supposed to go on a work trip for 2 days to a 2-day work planning retreat. It is important exposure. He will be post-op for 3 days by the time I leave. Last night, he texted that he needed me to cancel my trip because he is recovering from surgery and I need to put him first, as well as I'm going to be beyond mad if you do this to me and do not put me first the one time I am asking. And if I go, he won't take the kids to school. I'm seeing red flags here. In my opinion, if there was a chance that OP's husband could convince OP to not go to their work trip to take care of them, it needs to be on your knees, begging and pleading and admitting that you made a fucky wucky. Like the way that I would see this going to actually kind of work, and also in a way that your partner should communicate it, is calling OP and being like, hey babe, I fucked up. I didn't do the research on how out of commission I would be. I know this is on me, but would you be okay canceling your work trip to take care of me? I'm so sorry. I'll make it up to you. Or we as a team need to figure out a way that you can still go on this trip and I can still recover from this. Whether that's hiring a temporary nanny, getting a family member to last minute fly out and paying for their flight. Like that's how you handle a problem in your marriage that you caused, by the way. But instead he's guilt tripping and gaslighting OP and literally threatening to not take the kids to school and be a bad parent if OP doesn't listen. His head may be sore and bald, but should not impede a pickup and drop off. My trip has been planned for about 6 months. His main gripe is that he will be seen so close to surgery. He did not need to choose this date, and up until yesterday, this was the plan. He told me my trip is stupid. I put everyone first, but I don't think I need to stay home and miss something so important for this, and I also think it is selfish to be saying this to me. I am always impacted by his last-minute changes and impulses. I'm supportive of doing something that makes him feel better about himself, but why should I miss this last minute? Am I being selfish or is he being selfish? No, girl, your husband's a manipulator. I think I saw you guys saying this in chat, but I think this qualifies as weaponized incompetence. Like, bro cannot do the research for what it will look like after his surgery. And then on top of that, when the recovery isn't that bad, needs you to drop everything so that he can do nothing and you can take care of him and take care of the kids. Like, girl, if he's doing this all the time, divorce immediately, bro. That sounds like just a god awful partner to be with. Is OP getting anything out of this? I am once again asking if the sex is that good, where you can overlook this man manipulating you and being a lazy piece of shit. It's all about me energy. No, actually, he does have it's all about me energy. Dog, your fucking stupid bald ass head will be fine. Stop being a little bitch. The small update on this goes, I am leaving for my work trip. I guess I left out some important details. We live in New York where everyone walks to school. We both work. I make more money, but he makes plenty. And aside from this temper tantrum, always takes care of our kids when I travel for work about 6 to 8 times a year. Honestly, y'all, I'm more worried about the way that he went about this. He literally threatened her and tried to guilt trip her. I'm going to be beyond mad if you do this to me, and do not put me first the one time I'm asking. If you go, I literally won't take our kids to school. You want to be married to that man child? That's so fucking disgusting to me. I don't know how old they are, but they're old enough to have kids. If you're old enough to have 2 kids under 7, you're way too old to be acting like this. Way too old to be acting like this baby back bitch. Am I the a-hole for tipping 83 cents? I went out to dinner with my wife last night. When the bill came, I gave the waitress my card. She came back shortly after looking upset. She slapped the card down on the table and said, declined. I thought her tone and brevity was rude. I took out a different card from my wallet and handed it to her. While I was putting the first card in my wallet, she didn't move. I looked at her and said, "You okay?" ? She said, "If I go back and try to run this, are you still going to be sitting here when I get back?" I asked her if she thought her tone was appropriate for speaking to customers. She said, "You're only a customer if you pay." I asked to speak to her manager. Girl, like, if you're really that worried about them dining and dashing, why don't you just write down the name that's on the credit card? Because then you know who dined and dashed. She left with the card. My wife said maybe the waitress had encountered scammers before and was anxious about it. I said being rude and being cautious are 2 different things. The waitress returned with my card and the slip to fill out. She said, "This one worked. I'm sorry." I thanked her and took the booklet. Our bill was $91.17. I wrote in 83 cents as the tip and $92 as the total. I handed it back to her and started to get up to leave. She said, "You're really not going to tip me?" I said, "No, you were rude to me." She said, "I have to tip out the bartender and the busboy. I just paid money to serve you." I said, "Well, in the future, you shouldn't be so rude." My wife thinks I was an a-hole to the waitress and should have given her $10 at least because it was an honest misunderstanding. I would have given her $28.83 if she wasn't rude to me, but I don't want to pay to be insulted. Was I the a-hole? For the record, I called my bank and the card was flagged for fraud because of a pending $1 charge that is often associated with fraud attempts. I resolved it. Here's the thing, y'all. I could see an everyone sucks here verdict on this, but I really think the line that he said here with, I said being rude and being cautious are 2 different things. I kind of agree with that. Like, you can be cautious of him not dining and dashing if that's really what you're worried about in a different way that doesn't require you to be rude. Like, she could have been like, okay, I'm worried that this person's gonna dine and dash. Let me go to one of the hosts or hostess and just tell them to keep an eye on that table. If they try to leave without me kind of being like, okay, we're good to go, make sure to stop them kind of thing. I think OP could have easily taken the high road here, but I don't think you should be entitled to a tip if you were rude to the people that you were serving. Like, don't get me wrong, y'all. I hate tip culture. I think tip culture needs to die. It's just a way for business owners to misdirect their responsibility to pay their employees fairly. But if that culture exists and it's a decent way to make good money, I think you do kind of have to work for that tip a little bit. This is coming from the guy that tips for you just like doing base level your job. You don't need to be nice to me. You don't need to whatever. All I want is just like decent service and like my water filled when it's getting close to empty. That's it. Like, those are my 2 requirements, which like I feel like that's just general job description stuff. And then you're immediately eligible for a 20% plus tip easily. I very rarely tip underneath 20%. Like, you have to very severely fuck up, and even then I'll probably tip you 15%. I feel like not the a-hole here, but I think there's a very good argument for everyone sucks. I've worked for tips at most of my jobs. It sucks, but I would not talk to a customer like that. The way that I look at it is like, why shoot yourself in the foot like that? You didn't have to say it like that. Like, what was calling them out like that going to do other than create a problem? Like, there's so many other solutions to that A, are more effective, and B, aren't rude and gonna put you at risk of not getting a tip. I want to read the comments of this one because I'm just genuinely curious what other people are saying here. I used to work retail at a store where people would try and scam us with checks by signing their name really large and thick, crossing over the account number on the bottom. This would often cause the register to scan the check improperly, or likewise, I worked at a restaurant where the occasional credit card would get declined. I would always simply say, I'm sorry, it seems our system is having an issue with the check or the magnetic strip on the back. Do you have an alternate form of payment? Don't blame the customer, blame the technology. The scammers would throw a fit. The legit customers would say, oops. So I think this is basically not the a-hole, like saying like what the waitress did was wrong. Not the a-hole, she was rude and hostile as fuck. You also asked for her manager and she didn't bring them over, even more reason why you were right. That's actually a good point too. I didn't put that together. Servers have control over one thing during a meal. They cannot control food quality, timely delivery for the most part, or available menu selections. Servers control their manners. This server failed. I don't approve of people who judge waiters based off the food because it's like they don't have control over that. So I totally agree with that, but it looks like the comments are saying not the a-hole. It just sucks because I feel like I really do believe tipping culture just deflects blame away from the owners and towards the customers. It's like, oh, if a waiter doesn't make money, it's not the person who employs them whose responsibility it should be to pay them a fair wage that they can live on. It's not their fault. It's the customer's fault. And I don't fuck with that. I think that's a really stupid way to run restaurants. Like if I ever own my own restaurant, I really would like to establish a non-tipping culture. It's like our waiters and waitresses are paid well. Give them a tip if you think that they did well enough to where you want to give them a tip. Am I the a-hole for poking fun at my cousin's divorce after she insulted my wedding? I, 29 female, got married at 20. My husband and I were young, desperately in love, and super broke. I was never one to want a big wedding, so we kept it small. I will admit, my cousin, 36 female, helped a ton with the decorations. I'm not one to be super into that stuff. I was fine with it just looking a little plain, but she wanted to make the day special for me, and I appreciated it. I sang her praises the entire day, paid her for helping me after the fact, and literally made a speech the day of the wedding how grateful I was for her. I should also note, she got married a few months before me in an extremely lavish, extremely expensive wedding. Her wedding day was actually perfect and everyone still talks about it. However, she got divorced about 4 years ago. I'm unsure what has caused this, but now anytime we are together, she makes fun of my wedding. She mocks how small it was. She mocks how corny the venue was. She insults my bridesmaids and my husband's family and how useless they were the day of. I normally don't react because honestly, I don't care about her opinion. However, today we were at a large Father's Day gathering with all my family. From the second she saw me, she started ragging on my wedding to her new boyfriend. I'm not sure, but something in my brain just flipped and I said back to her, well, at least I'm still married. Oh my God. Bro, she went for the jugular. That's zero chill. Everyone in my family is upset with me. They said I went below the belt with that comment, but absolutely no one has ever checked her for insulting me over and over and over. Me personally, chat, I'm gonna go with not the a-hole because I think this is an example of fuck around and find out. Fuck around and talk shit about someone's wedding when you just so clearly have such an easy target. That is, at least my small wedding resulted in a marriage that's still together. I think this is fuck around and find out. Truly and genuinely, especially if no one's telling her that her comments are offhand, go for the jugular. I want to go with not the a-hole. Do I think there was a better way to go about this? Absolutely. 100%. I think if OP would have taken her aside and been like, hey, you're talking a lot of shit about my wedding. That's unacceptable. I do not want to hang around you if you're going to keep doing this. This is also very random and coming after your divorce. Do you want to talk about it? I think that is a more appropriate, empathetic, family-minded way to go about it because I'm sure she's projecting. I'm sure she's doing this because she feels bad about her marriage falling apart and her having to get a divorce. Do I think OP completely owes that to her or is it OP's responsibility? Fuck no. Do I think sometimes with family, you need to take the high road, especially if like in the past you guys have had a good relationship? Yeah, I do think so. But I'm not going to blame OP. I'm not going to call OP the asshole. I think the cousin got what she deserved. Someone needed to call her out. And if nobody was going to do it that wasn't OP, let it be OP. When they go low, we go lower. This is literally such a perfect example of that. Here's the thing, Dragon. If you want to say everyone sucks here, that's fine. But you got to justify it. I have a hard time saying OP sucks. If she's been putting up with it for a while now, nobody's calling her out on that shit, I say go for it, dude. Like what? What's the alternative? She's supposed to just like keep putting up with it? I guess you could talk to her, but like I said, that's not her responsibility. If someone's acting like a dickhead and they call someone out about it and they have a productive positive conversation about it, that isn't their responsibility. That is them showing empathy and putting in extra effort that is outside of their scope of what they need to be doing. That is extra on the side. Family sucks for letting the cousin bully her constantly, and what she said could have been better in my opinion. I don't disagree with that, but I think at a certain point, the bullying gets to a level where I think whatever is said back is justified. I truly believe that, chat. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my ex-husband's wife homeschool my children? I, 31 female, share 2 children, 9 male and 8 female, with my ex-husband, Aaron, 35 male. Aaron's cheating ended our marriage, and before long, he had moved in with Nicole, 34 female, and her children, 11, 10, 8, and 6. Aaron and Nicole have a 2-year-old together, and they're expecting another child. 8 kids? I'm sorry, y'all. Nobody should be pumping out 8 kids. I'll die on that hill, chat. 8 kids is too many. You're rocking 8 kids? Not a single one of them is getting the love and nurture that they need. That is insane. Have y'all ever heard of a condom? Jesus Christ. Even before Aaron and Nicole met, she homeschooled her children. While my kids attend public school. This was mentioned as a problem before they were even married, but I ignored them. Now this has come up again, and they are being a thorn in my side about it. Nicole said it is unfair for her children to see mine go to school while hers do not. Then send your kid to public school. What do you mean it's unfair? You're the one keeping them from socializing with other kids. Okay, hot take, y'all. I'm sorry if you were a homeschooled kid. Not the fucking move. I'm gonna be so real. I think you're just teaching your kids how to not socialize with other kids. You're literally keeping them in like a bubble, bro. You're teaching them not to be independent. Like the school that I went to, we actually used to have a program where the homeschooled kids could play sports at our school, and all of them, don't get me wrong, super nice, very socially awkward, and extremely sheltered. Oh, he's coming down. The man is descending. She told me her kids had become jealous and it's causing issues for her parenting and for her and Aaron's family. I told her this was not my problem and she needed to figure out how to manage that, as that is the life of blended families. Not everything will be the same or equal for the kids from different marriages. Like she said, like, oh, it's causing issues for your parenting and for your family? Huh, tough titties. Sounds like a you problem. Oh man, my kids are jealous of other people's kids. Everybody else should change it instead of me dealing with my own kids. Like, what the fuck? Aaron asked me to homeschool a few times and I told him I would not entertain the idea. He even asked the kids who became worried and they came to me to talk to me about it. They didn't want to leave their friends and teachers, and they didn't want to stay home all day like Nicole's kids. I reassured them I would not be saying yes to homeschooling for them. Now Nicole and Aaron are on a mission to make me agree to Nicole homeschooling the kids alongside hers. Apparently they have the 2-year-old starting into some form of pre-K homeschooling, and they feel it's only fair for my kids to join in too. I said no. I even had my lawyer send their lawyer a letter officially stating my position on this. My lawyer has also documented everything. They asked their lawyer to take this back to court and get a judge to overrule me, but their lawyer told them this would not go in their favor. My ex was so unhappy about it that he told me all of this and it gave me the chance to document that also. Can you imagine being a fucking judge and getting a court case where some fucking asshole stepmother is pleading a case about forcing not her kids to be homeschooled because it makes her life easier? I would laugh in her face and then fine her for wasting my time. That is so entitled and ridiculous. Now they're claiming I don't have a good reason to refuse other than to disrupt their home and to keep Nicole from playing a bigger role in the lives of my children and to prevent sibling bonding between Nicole's kids and mine. I told them I have many reasons to say no and they just need to accept it. I stopped replying after this. I mean, even the most important part is the kids don't want to be homeschooled. If the kids were like, no, this is cooking, like I would really like to be homeschooled next to Nicole's kids, then maybe you should consider it. But if your kids are also like, yeah, no, fuck that, please don't let them do that, mom. Like, I'm honestly worried for these kids being at Nicole and Aaron's place. Like, if they completely disregard what these kids actually want, I can't imagine that they're A, pleasant to live with, and B, parenting their own kids correctly. But since school ended for the summer, I've been inundated with pressure from them over this. They are worried that I'll send them to school in September as planned, which will happen. I feel like the kids wanting to go to school should also count, And I told Aaron this before, but am I the a-hole for not being willing to try? Is it really so hard to believe I just want my kids to attend school normally? Nah, bro, fuck that. This is a hill you die on. 100%. Easiest not the a-hole. I mean, I don't think homeschooling is good in general for children's development. I think there are some cases, don't get me wrong, there are outliers where it makes a lot of sense to do homeschooling, but genuinely dead ass, I think for most kids, it's not the right move, especially kids who don't want it. If your kids are like, I want to see my friends every day, they should not be homeschooled because they will not see their friends every day. Damn, bro. I mean, if I was OP, I would be seeing if there's a argument to take them to court and try to get full custody of their kids, because I don't expect them to go down easily. I think they're gonna pull some shady shit at the beginning of the school year. Like, I would not be surprised, chat, if we got an update in like September or August of them being like, Nicole's pulling some shady shit right now. Am I the a-hole for not entertaining a girl who thinks I got her pregnant from fingering? I, 21 male, went on like 2 dates with this girl, 18 female. First date was all right, but I wasn't really feeling her. I tried to end it with a kiss, and she told me she didn't know how to kiss. That turned me into trying to teach her how to kiss, and honestly, I should have known she was a bit too young for me right there. I decided to give it one more shot. Second date, we went to the movies. She decided she wanted to help me out. I finished, cleaned up, then helped her out. That was it. No sex, nothing beyond that. I thought it was mutual, that we weren't super into each other because neither of us reached out after that. A few days ago, she texted me saying her period is 3 weeks late. She's really scared. She even sent me articles saying pregnancy can happen from fingering if there's somehow sperm involved. I told her to calm down, that it's super unlikely. 1, my hands didn't even touch my sperm, and 2, sperm cannot survive that long. And that's what I told her. I kind of left it at that. I thought it was pretty fucking funny that she actually thinks that she's pregnant. Now she keeps blowing up my phone. I've honestly started to ignore her. My friends think it's funny, but also say it's kind of messed up. I'm ignoring her while she's scared. I tried to reassure her, but I don't know what else I could do. All right, listen. Do I think this girl needs a proper sex ed class? Absolutely. I mean, I guess it didn't say that this was in America, but I would fucking bet the house that this is America. That being said, I do think it is a little douchey to not at least communicate with her while she's freaking out. Do I think she's freaking out for no reason? Yeah. But should you at least be nice to be like, hey, dog, you're fine. Let's keep in contact. I'll keep reassuring you that you're fine. Maybe that would be the nicer, at least the right thing to do. But I don't even really want to say like everyone sucks here, because like you don't owe her that. And it's honestly very ridiculous. Spermatozoa can be viable for up to 5. I don't think it can. I think sperm can be viable if it's kept in the right conditions. Should I just fucking Google it, chat? I've looked it up, but I'm pretty sure I've looked up how long sperm can survive if it's not in the right conditions. And I think it's like minutes, chat. But maybe I'm wrong. You know what? Let's look it up. For shits and gigs. How long can sperm survive after ejaculation? Sperm typically can stay alive for about 3 to 5 days within the cervix. Okay, but what about outside? Like, obviously it's gonna stay alive where it needs to stay alive, but okay, maybe I gotta be more specific. Survive after ejaculation outside of vagina? Sperm generally can survive only a few minutes to a few hours outside of the vagina, depending on the environment. Factors like temperature, moisture, and the presence of air greatly affect their lifespan. Okay, so maybe I guess there's a possibility then. I mean, that's crazy though. Can you imagine? That's so funny. I don't know if fingering would get it far enough though. Let's get hyper specific here. Can you get pregnant by getting sperm on your fingers and then fingering a girl? Oh, it's possible for a pregnancy to happen if sperm gets on a finger that goes into the vagina, even if there hasn't been vaginal sex. There is an update here, chat. Y'all, if this update is JK LOL, homegirl is pregnant, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Is homegirl pregnant? Did basically Jane the Virgin happen? Let's see. Update. I took the most popular piece of advice from my original post, and that was to have her take a pregnancy test. I decided to text her back, and I apologized for ignoring her. We met up. I bought her 2 pregnancy tests. She took them inside the bathroom of the pharmacy we bought them from. I waited outside the bathroom and let her do her thing. After she was done, she asked me to come inside, and we waited for the results. Now we're waiting for the results. It's been almost 10 minutes, and the test is still blank. She's looking at the test, wondering why there's no results, And then she's like, I think I took it wrong. Oh no, honey, there are directions on the back. I asked what she meant because how do you take a pregnancy test wrong? And she said she forgot to take the white cap off of the part you pee on, I guess. Where did you find this girl? The Dumb Factory? Like, come on. When you were picking a girl to date, did you just go through like the GPAs or something and pick the lowest one you could find? I can't believe it. That is insane behavior. She told me she didn't have to pee anymore and she would just take them when she got home. I said, okay, and I drove her home. 2 hours later, she sent me pictures, and just like I expected, they both came back negative. I responded with, oh, okay, good. And she liked the message. So I think we're on the same page about not communicating anymore. So yeah, she's not pregnant. I can't get over the fact that she fucking peed on the sticks like that. That's so crazy. That is the American education system at work right there. I mean, I guarantee y'all, she either didn't get a sex ed talk or she went to like a Catholic school of some sort. I mean, at least OP did the right thing and followed through, got back in touch with her and did what was best to like make sure that she's not actually pregnant and that her anxieties are relieved. But oh my God, there's a comment on the post that OP made about being suspicious that she was faking being uneducated. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, chat. When she was like, oh, I'm just gonna go home and take these, it's wild that bro knew she was this dumb and let her take those pregnancy tests and take them without him like low-key supervising. If this girl peed on it with the cap on and didn't know that that was wrong, I would be like, yo, you gotta piss on this thing in front of me. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I'd be like, I need to make sure that you're doing this right, so in 9 months there isn't a surprise shotty for me. But low-key, like, she could have gone home, and if she was manipulating him, just been like, oh yeah, the pregnancy test is positive. Weaponized incompetence. Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe she was playing dumb. Maybe it wasn't weaponized incompetence, but I don't know. Am I the a-hole for getting a new nurse fired for accusing me of having an affair with my father? Hey Reddit, I'm a hospital social worker at a small hospital. My dad is one of the ER day shift charge nurses. A few weeks ago, I was in the ER trying to figure out placement for an elderly patient. When I was leaving, I had a chat with my dad in the hallway. Before I left, he gave me a hug and told me not to be late for dinner. I joked about how I'm going to order the most expensive steak on the menu since it's his turn to pay. I'm 27 female. My dad is 51 male. There was a new nurse at the nurse's station nearby. Pretty much everyone knows that he's my dad. I hadn't spoken with this new nurse much though, and she didn't know. Apparently, she thought my dad and I were having an affair based off what she heard/saw. She knew my dad's married to my mom, who brings him lunch sometimes. She immediately began gossiping to some of the other staff that my dad is having an affair with the hospital social worker, aka me. One older nurse that I've known for a long time immediately came to tell me. I don't think she liked this new nurse very much. I guess no one decided to tell her that he's my dad. Listen, y'all, I hate calling bullshit on Reddit stories, but this shit has to be fake. Either you work with the dumbest motherfucking nurses ever, and they probably shouldn't be nurses, or this is completely fake. There's no way that this bitch isn't walking around gossiping about how you're dating your dad, and not one single one of them is like, nah, bro, that's her dad. Either you got ops in the workplace heavy, or this is fake as fuck. Is this a throwaway account? Yeah. All right, I'll finish it for the sake of whatever, but I'm calling bullshit, chat. I hate gossipers. I don't know what it is about nurses, but I swear to God, some of them really love to spread rumors. I decided to not take it up with her, and I just went straight to HR. Honestly, I could believe that, though. This might be really mean of me, but I would say a majority of the nurses that I know are like a certain type of high school girl that like feed off of the drama, and then they usually translate it into their work life. That might be me overgeneralizing nurses. I'm sure there are some great ones, but at least from what I know, nurses, flight attendants, gossip machines. We were both asked to come to HR after our shift was over, along with my dad. Now, the HR lady knew that he's my father. When the new nurse came in, she was asked to explain, and she said that she thinks it's terrible that we would so blatantly have an affair, and she was shocked because she thought my dad seemed like such a nice guy. My dad then decided to speak up and explain that I'm his child. The new nurse was mortified and apologized profusely. The HR lady asked me and my dad to leave. They had a meeting with the unit manager, and it was decided that the new nurse would be fired immediately because she was still in her 90-day probationary period. My mom thinks I'm a jerk, and I should have just brought it up to the nurse instead of bringing it to HR when I knew she would probably get fired. I think my mom is also sympathetic because she stalked the woman's Facebook and she's a single mom or whatever. Don't get me wrong, I think the nurse deserved it. If this story is true, if the nurse really had a problem with it, she should have taken it up with OP and or the father, and she would have gotten fact checked. But the fact that you're going around spreading a detrimental rumor at a workplace goes fucking crazy. Like, that's playing with someone else's career. So like, if your career takes a toll from that, I don't have very much sympathy for you. That being said, it's really funny that she's like really just dismissing, like, yeah, she's a single mom, whatever. Like, I'm reading this last line very sassy, and I don't know, that made me giggle a little bit. I can't even lie. I think I was right to get her fired because the hospital doesn't need a bunch of nurses sitting on their asses gossiping instead of doing their jobs. My dad is embarrassed and feels awkward about the whole thing. It's not the first time someone had thought I was dating my dad. We aren't weird or anything, but it happens. Anywho, am I the a-hole? If this story is real, not the a-hole, I don't know. Maybe you could have been a nicer person, but like, if you're fucking around with someone's career and then your career takes a hit, you have nobody to blame but yourself. But I call bullshit. I think that story's so stupidly fake. If you're gonna make a fake Reddit story, at least make it believable, okay? I refuse to believe that there's not a single coworker that was like, hey dog, that's her dad. Yo, mama's pissed. What if they all dislike the new nurse? I had a coworker that I disliked when I had my tour guide job at my college. Even if I disliked them, if they came up to me and started talking shit and I knew that shit wasn't real, I would just tell them to shut up. And the fastest way to tell them to shut up is like, nah, bro, you're tripping. Here are the facts. I don't know, maybe, but that's dumb. I refuse to believe that. Am I the a-hole for asking my husband's Italian friend to cook for herself and told her I would not eat her food? My husband's friend flew in from Bellagio, Italy a week ago. And as much as I tried, I could not make her happy with any type of home cook or even restaurants in Melbourne. Took her out to restaurants. We wanted to introduce her to a variety of food we have. No sushi, no Thai food, no Chinese, because Italian food is the best. We went out for Italian 3 days in a row. She complained about the pasta, about the cheese. Anything is just not as good as in Italy. Listen, I've never had Italian pasta. I'm so excited to try it when I go to Italy next month. That being said, food snobs make me want to put my head through a wall unironically. I understand if you make food a big part of your life, but if you're going around places and like critiquing them as if you get paid 6 figures to write about it for a column of a newspaper, you need to shut the fuck up. That is just ridiculous, immature behavior. Go places, eat food. If it's not as good as a place that you've been to before, cool. Nobody fucking asked. She complained about the wine not tasty enough. She got mad when I dared to order a cappuccino at 4 p.m. because we don't drink cappuccino after 12 p.m. I was like, yeah, I drink whatever the hell I want at the time that I want. Coffee was either too burnt or not hot enough. We went to Kohl's to get some shopping done. Straight away complained about no authentic Italian pastas. And in the middle of the aisle, decided to teach me how properly to say the name of each pasta. We decided to, yo, you know what this is, chat? I don't know if any of y'all went to college, but have y'all ever experienced typically in my experience, it's girls, but also probably guys who they go and they study abroad for like a summer or a semester, and then they won't shut the fuck up about it the rest of the time that you spend with them at college. This is a thing that people do, and it drives me nuts. You know what? Call me jealous. I never studied abroad in college, but I sure as shit know I would not have made it my entire personality. We decided to cook at home today. Mind you, I am Asian. I love my spices and I love flavorful dishes. I decided to cook what I know best. Did not think it would be a bad idea. She came and the first thing she said was, "Your house smells bad," in parentheses, fish sauce. And she proceeded to ignore my dish and asked my husband to take her out for some lasagna. When she got back, she told me I should learn how to cook it. Hold the fucking phone. So this bitch told your husband to take her out for lasagna and he did, instead of telling her to suck it up or get out of your house? Dare I say, chat? Husband. Drop his ass too, bro. I've heard enough. Like, I'm gonna finish the story, but I've heard enough. This bitch crazy. And your husband sucks too. When she got back, she told me I should learn how to cook Italian dishes because it is not good for my husband to always eat fusion food. Online recipes are just stupid for straying away from the root. In parentheses, what the fuck? Yo, what is this bitch yapping about? What do you mean? Like sources. Oh yeah, because you found it on the internet, it's bad for you. I wouldn't be able to stand this woman. I would be like, yeah, you gotta go, dog. Also, why is your husband friends with her? Like, I would never let my friends act like this. I was so mad and did not mince words. I told her how arrogant and obnoxious it is to think Italian food is the best. Told her Italian is not the best. and we would not take her out for any Italian meals. She could go shopping for herself, cook it, and enjoy it alone. Sorry, but the ingredients would not be as good as in Italy. But she was in another country. Be grateful for what she could find. She cried and decided to leave early. Best case scenario, she got told and she left. My husband tried to tell me that she is set in her way. She does not travel that much all her life. 60 years, this is the second time she travels out of the country. Last time was to Germany, and it was well over 25 years ago. He told her I should maybe just say sorry to her just to smooth out the situation. I refused, told him if she cannot live without her Italian heritage for a few weeks, there's no point for me to convince her to like me anyway. Chat, I can already see the man-hater comments, but fuck this husband, bro. What a fucking loser. Get out of here. Throw the whole man away. Because what the fuck is this man on? Some friend comes to visit and talks to my wife like that. Like, they're out before that could even escalate to the point where it got to. Yeah, not the a-hole. I want to see if people are also shitting on the husband. Yo, where are the comments like going after the husband here, bro? Damn, Reddit, you low-key disappoint me. Oh, here we go. Finally. Forget her. I'm 100 times more concerned of why your husband is asking you to kiss another woman's ass to smooth things over. Terrible look for your husband. He looks like a weak man or a cheating one. The cheating might be a stretch, but I would say, like, if there's any time to like die on a hill that maybe you shouldn't die on, it's for your wife against another woman, especially one who's like your girl best friend. And on top of that, this is a hill that you absolutely should be dying on. So like, I don't know. I don't want to be like, oh, this dude's cheating, because I feel like that's a stretch, but I do low-key want to be like, this guy fucking sucks. Am I the a-hole for telling my neighbor I have no desire or obligation to babysit her children because I'm a stay-at-home mom? I mean, even just from the title, that is some entitlement. God damn. I'm new to my area and I've made friends with a few neighbors through a mommy and me group. I have been in the group now a little over a month and I have a 9-week-old. I have a neighbor who is in the group and she asked me last week in an emergency if I could watch her 3- and 5-year-old. She looked desperate, so I agreed. I was like, well, it's just once. I'm a full-time stay-at-home mom and enjoy all my time with my little one. That day I watched her children was hectic as hell. My daughter was fussy and their children were very rambunctious, to say the least. I was happy when she came and got them 6 hours later. Yeah, I mean, like, every once in a while makes sense. Like, my mom had friends that, like, they would alternate between having us at each other's house, but it was reciprocated. It wasn't like, oh, well, you don't do anything, so you watch the kids all the time, which is where I'm guessing this is going. She came to me today saying she needed me to watch the kids in the afternoons. I told her no, I'm not a full-time babysitter, and I have no desire to take that much time away from my own child and navigating life with my child and my husband. Her response was, well, it's not like I'm asking a lot. It's just the afternoons. Dude, if you don't think taking care of 1 kid, let alone 2 kids, isn't a lot, you should not be having kids. Like, if you don't know that having kids is just a lot by the definition of having a kid, you're probably not a good parent. I know that might be a fucking whole ass leapfrog stretch, but I'm willing to die on that hill. I said it may not be a lot to her, but it is a lot to me. My husband works from home and he needs the house quiet to work, and I'm a new mom and I'm not interested on taking any other responsibilities other than what I have right now. She told me I was selfish. I told her she was entitled to think I should help her just because I'm at home with my little one. Am I the a-hole for being so forward? No, bro, the fucking audacity. That is an insane request. Dead ass, no cap. That is probably by far the most entitled thing I've ever read. I've said it once and I say it again. If you have a kid, it's always nice to have the village, but I think in this day and age, if you are having a kid, you have to be prepared to take care of that kid completely by yourself, and that is what you're signing up for. I think it's insanely irresponsible to have a kid and just assume there will be a village to watch after your crotch gobbling for you. And I also think that's a terrible way to parent. Like, if you don't have the time to dedicate to that kid or money to hire somebody and pay them a fair wage to take care of that kid, don't have a kid. Save up until you can't afford that. Or build your village beforehand and have that village's expectations be that you guys help each other with your kids. There is one edit on this. So she went to the group chat trying to disparage me, saying I'm selfish, blah, blah, blah. One of the moms asked her why she felt I had a responsibility as a stay-at-home mom to watch her children. Then another mom confessed and reminded her in the group chat that she tried that with her and was told that the stay-at-home moms in the group are not her babysitters and she needs to make arrangements for childcare independent of the group. She attempted to double down, then the moderator / creator of the group told her it would maybe be best if she found another mom group to socialize with. Then she backtracked and apologized. I was separately contacted by the moderator and told that if she contacts me or another mom for this reason again, she will be expelled from the group. And this is just the typical thank you for your help. This might be really fucking mean to me, but I think they should just kick her out. I think it would be a much better move just to kick her out and be done with it. Like, that is somebody who's probably either going to keep pulling shady shit anyways and be sneaky about it, or they're gonna pull shady shit in other ways. Would I be the a-hole for telling my African-American friend that she can't gatekeep my culture? So I, female 26, am of Asian descent. I won't specify which just for a little privacy. I have a very diverse group of friends, some white, a lot not. We all hang out and honestly have very few issues apart from the usual ones that friends have occasionally. The problem arose the other day where a video circulated of one of my white male friends has taken some time off work to travel through different parts of Asia. He visited my home country while they're dressed in some of our cultural clothing while attending some events. Now, the clothes are very comfortable and suitable for the climate, and he has continued to wear them on his journey. For context, my culture gets very excited when people want to wear and use our clothing. It makes us feel appreciated, seen, and celebrated. So here's the thing, chat. As also an Asian person, specifically half Japanese, I know that we're very similar. Like, if you come to Japan and you want to try on a kimono or like traditional Asian wear, it's the exact same vibe. We're very much like, yo, we want y'all to like dive in the culture. Because I do think, especially if you're respectful about it, it's a sign of appreciation. Not only would he have had full blessing of anyone who he met while in my country, but he would also have had the approval of every person in my community here. The only people who had an issue here were some of my African-American friends. They were outraged on my behalf and left some very insulting comments on his video and in our friends' chat. When I clarified my culture's views and my personal ones, most of them calmed down and apologized. One girl, however, won't stop. She calls him a colonizer, full of white privilege, and keeps assuming the right to tell him he can't wear the items despite any comments otherwise. Would I be the a-hole for telling her bluntly to drop the subject and that I find her outrage and hatred more offensive than my male friend wearing the clothes? Here's my opinion on this. If he was wearing the clothes in a way that wasn't respecting and appreciating the culture, I would definitely say so. I also think cultural appropriation should be more enforced when it comes to African-American communities, because that is a community where their culture has not only been appropriated, but like disrespected and like claimed as one's own for like way too long. Whereas I feel like there does need to be more talk around issues and racism around the Asian culture that I don't think gets as much recognition. However, I will never say that it's been as bad as like African-American racism and like cultural appropriation. And like I said, I think it is part of the culture for that to be like, hey, if you're coming here and you want the full experience, bro, we're so for it. And just for that reason, I think you have to listen to the girl who actually comes from that culture. You can't be outraged on behalf of somebody who's like, nah, bro, like it's fine not only to me, but also to the community that I grew up with and the country that I know and have a lot more familiarity with than you. I do have to say, I think it's great that like her friends want to go to bat for her, but I think sometimes there's a difference between fighting for the right thing and actively like trying to pick a fight when there doesn't need to be. And it feels more like the latter than the former here. I go by what the people in the country say. Sure, some people make fun of certain cultural things, but appreciation done right matters. 100%, bro. Like if I have like a white girlfriend or something like that, eventually I want to take her to Japan and I want her to experience some of the things that I got to experience in Japan, because I think it's fun when you have somebody who you know truly appreciates it and they go and do things that are very tied to like who you are and like the essence of your being. Like it's fun, it's cool, and it's enjoyable. And like I'm sure there are a couple of things in the African-American community where they kind of feel similar. I think it's more just when people specifically do things to appropriate like African-American slang, mannerisms, culture, like stuff like that. Like that's the things for me where I'm like, ugh. But there's a line and you can definitely cross it even with the Japanese culture. But like, I think that line is a little further out than it is for like African American culture, and for good reason. As soon as OP said this is not offensive, the subject should have been dropped by everyone. I agree with you, Katana. Like, I do think there are some people who don't advocate enough for their culture. That's definitely a thing, but it sounds like OP has expressed that she's very tapped in with her culture, her community, and she knows that this is perfectly fine. Once you hear that, you drop it. Update: I met her in person last night and we sat and talked about the situation and my culture's views. She did promise to stop her comments, but thought I was being extremely naive about my attitude to our mutual friend. Overall, it wasn't a very productive conversation as she brushed off the concept of my country encouraging the sharing of our culture and said that our view of white people was unrealistic. I mentioned that we'd had our own versions of appropriation, issues, and aggression from many cultures. That also was brushed aside as though it had no bearing. I'm not sure I'll continue my friendship with her as it does seem to be more of a deep-seated hatred. You guys know I'll talk shit for days about white people because yes, like in history, they've been colonizers. They've been the bad guys. That being said, like we're not in that era. Don't get me wrong. There are so many bad white people, but for as many bad white people as I've met probably like 5 or 6 times more good white people who, like, even if they do something that's appropriating culture, it's usually out of ignorance, not out of I want to disrespect this culture. And I feel like with like Asian culture, there is a lot more of like education, and I can only speak for myself, right? Because like I've gone to Japan, I've gotten to experience it, and like in Japan, they're very like, this is our culture and we want to educate you on it, because I think that education and participation allows you to have the appreciation that we want you to have with our culture. And don't get me wrong, there are still white people that disrespect the fuck out of it in every culture, and that's always going to be the case. I like to genuinely believe that there are more people out there that want to appreciate the culture than those who want to disrespect it. Maybe that's a very optimistic view to have on the world, especially in this day and age, but like truly, I think there is some argument out there that a bunch of Americans getting very into anime is a little bit of like appropriating the culture. But to me, I'm just really glad that people are appreciating the medium of content that I grew up on, and that it's not this like nerdy thing for people to be into anymore. It's like kind of like a cool thing that people recognize is a product of like Japanese culture, that they bleed the appreciation for that anime into the culture. Don't get me wrong, there's still people who go over the top and they like fetishize it, and like I don't think that's right, but I would say overall it has to be a net positive. Am I the a-hole for adopting a dog after I thought my boyfriend broke up with me? My boyfriend was going through a tough time and he said he needed a break. He said he was going to press pause on our relationship and go visit his family in Washington. I asked how you pause a relationship because I don't understand how that works. He said he needed some time to work on himself and asked me to respect that. Okay, fucking Ross Geller. This might be controversial, chat, but I think if you are pausing a relationship, you might as well end it. Like, pausing a relationship to me is fucking stupid. If there's something in that relationship that needs to be worked on, like that's part of the relationship. If you need time to work on yourself, break up with them. I think pauses in relationships are stupid. I don't think they should exist. Like, you would never pause a marriage. I know marriage is definitely different, but it's the same concept of you guys being in a working relationship together to go through life together. And like, if you want to stop doing that, fucking dive into the pool. Don't dip your pinky toe into it. After he left, I reached out to him a few times via text, asking him to let me know he arrived safe and to say hi to his mom for me. I received no response. That's just fucking disrespectful in my opinion. I tried to call and left a message asking if he had broken up with me. I came to the conclusion that he'd ghosted me and my friends agreed. I was bummed, and my best friend recommended I find something like a new hobby or a new show to watch that wouldn't make me think of my boyfriend. I decided to get a dog. My boyfriend is horribly allergic to pet dander, so I never even considered getting a pet. However, since he broke up with me, I decided to get one. He's a senior dog from the shelter that needed rescuing. He's very low energy and likes to lay with his head on my lap while I read, work, or watch TV. After 6 weeks away, my boyfriend texted me that he was back and coming over tomorrow, which was yesterday, so we could talk. I was shocked and texted him back asking what he was talking about. He said he was back and ready to unpause our relationship. He said he would talk to me about everything the next day. I texted asking what relationship. He didn't answer. Damn. Okay, I think pauses are stupid. A pause for 6 weeks, that's 110% a breakup. Especially after you fucking ghosted your paused relationship girlfriend. I'm gonna be honest, chat. He cheated. 110% home skilly vanilly cheated. Yesterday, he showed up and told me he had done a lot of self-examination and was ready to move forward on his life path. He even wanted to talk about moving in together. Then he saw my dog and started freaking out. He asked me how I could get a dog when I know how sick he gets. I told him that since he broke up with me, I didn't think it mattered. He said he didn't break up with me. I said he ghosted me. He said he communicated with me, telling me he was pressing pause and visiting family. I said, not answering texts is ghosting. We argued in circles, and then he said he had to leave because he was getting an allergic reaction, even though he was standing in the doorway, not inside. I feel like he broke up with me and it was okay that I got a dog. He says that he never did, and therefore it's a horrible act of disregard to have gotten a dog. Which of us is right? My best friend said I should break up with him because he's a jerk. Your best friend is cooking. I don't think I should have to break up with someone that already broke up with me. If I break up with him, I'm basically agreeing with him that he didn't break up with me, and therefore I was an asshole for getting the dog, right? I mean, girl, I don't even think you should have invited him to your house. You should have gotten that text message and ghosted him back. I don't understand why you responded. I don't understand why you answered the door. He should have come up to your front door. He should have rang the doorbell, and you should have texted him and been like, get the fuck off my porch. That is insane behavior, and to blame this on you is actually ridiculous. I think homegirl dodged a bullet, because there's no way that this guy was a healthy guy to be in a relationship with. I would never believe that. Like, there's no way. I could potentially see, hey, I need to not talk to you for a week when that's agreed upon ahead of time, maybe, but ghosting is a breakup. I could maybe understand a week, but even a week to me is kind of ridiculous. Like, especially absolutely 0 to no contact and you guys are planning on still keeping your relationship. Like, I'm sorry, but if someone goes, I need a break from this relationship with you, and then they ghost for even a week, I'd be like, nah, dude, we're breaking up. 6 weeks is how long it takes for an STD treatment and waiting period to make sure the clap is fully cured. That is a conspiracy theory and a half, but high key, that'd be crazy. Am I the a-hole for silently changing my son's name after my brother and sister-in-law gave my nephew the name too? My wife and I had our son 4 months ago. We had a name chosen early in her pregnancy. We kept that name to ourselves, but my sister-in-law, married to my brother, found it out when she was still pregnant with my nephew, almost 7 months old. She never said how. She just told us she loved the name. Congrats, and she couldn't wait to meet him. That is so sus. She never said how, and you guys kept it between you two? There has to be some sort of like invasion of privacy type shit there, right? Like, I wouldn't let that slide, my boy. She just told us she loved the name, congrats, and she couldn't wait to meet him. We assumed she snooped because she was not told. I even mentioned it to my brother, and he said that his wife does like to browse through people's things like it was no biggie. My guy, the sex can't be that good. It really can't. Unless you got that like Gorilla Grip Turbo Twister 3000 down there. Like, bro, go find somebody who isn't going to browse through not only your things, other people's things, but your family members' things. That's crazy. Like, to bring this person into your family and allow her to do that shit to them is just disrespectful. Then when my nephew was born, they announced his name, and it was the name we chose. First, middle, last name. My brother called right after sister-in-law posted the announcement, and he told me to keep quiet because his wife had a rough birth and she didn't need drama. And he knew we might not like it, but she really wanted the name. Nah, bro, I'm fucking going full nuclear. What the fuck you mean? Don't get me wrong, that's tough. You had a rough birth, but you just fucking did some weird shit. I'm gonna cause drama. That's on you. That's insane, bro. Like, the entire fucking name, her reason. My brother and I have matching twin-like names, and sister-in-law wanted to connect our two boys by just giving them the same name. So they were each other's namesake. Chat, this bitch crazy. My wife and I talked it over and we decided to pick a different name, but we'd pretend to keep the original name until there was zero risk of sister-in-law changing my nephew's name. 6 months after a birth is harder to make a change in our state. We only started telling people the true name last week. My parents and sisters said it made sense. Friends and my in-laws understand why we did it. My brother told me I upset his wife by silently doing this shit and taking away her choice to match the boys. Hey, bitch, it ain't just your choice. That's a weird fucking choice, by the way. He told me it was a dick move. I told him his wife using the full name we chose was a dick move. What fucking planet does your brother live on? Dude, you gotta go no contact with this motherfucker. Like, it sounds like all your family members are on your side. Just be like, hey, so we're not inviting them to Christmas anymore. I asked him if he considered how much tougher it would be with both boys enrolled in the same schools with the very same name. Not to mention banking, doctors, dental, all kinds of stuff. He told me plenty of people have the same name and it's not a big deal and it's harder to mix shit up now. And we're just trying to gatekeep names. I think he's crazy, so does my wife. She said he clearly doesn't want sister-in-law to be mad, but am I the a-hole for what I did? Like, are we weird for thinking of this kind of stuff? No, bro, and I would heavily look into the reason why the sister-in-law is doing this, because she has to be fucking crazy, and there has to be another reason for doing that. Either you're doing this for another reason, or you should not be having kids. Your mental is so not there. If you think it is a reasonable thing to do to name somebody the same name as their cousin so that they have each other's namesake, like, that doesn't even make sense. How does that in any way, shape, or form make them closer? I am flabbergasted. This woman needs a grippy sock vacation ASAP, dog. Well, let's look at the comments here. Someone said, not the a-hole. What is her angle here? Does she want to dress them in matching clothes and play them off as twins? Does she think they will always be at your house so the boys can spend time with their named twin? Like, what is she even thinking here? I'm baffled. Your kid is not a prop to work through whatever fantasy future she concocted. OP replied, I'm thinking that's where this would have gone. Maybe even going as far as to say we should raise them like brothers instead of cousins. She was obsessed with how cute she thought it would be. All right, chat, we're gonna have to keep an eye out for an update on this one, but my bold prediction, the sister-in-law is into OP and wants some sort of fantasy where she can act like she has OP's child. I fucking guarantee it. I'm betting the house on it. Like, that's the only thing to me that, like, kind of actually makes a little bit of sense in my head. You know, like, some people try to, like, dress up to be exactly like someone. I think this has to be very similar here. There's no other explanation here that, like, actually makes any modicum of sense. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband if he forces his daughter to go to school with poor hygiene as punishment, I will divorce him? I, 41 female, have a daughter, 10 female from a previous relationship, and my husband, 35 male, has a daughter, 13 female from a previous relationship. My stepdaughter has been the near perfect child for a long time. She hasn't ever needed to be punished since I've been with her father until recently. She had a problem with another girl, 13 female, at school. The other girl made fun of my stepdaughter's lesbian mom, and my stepdaughter made fun of the other girl's poor mom. The parents of the other girl grounded her for 3 weeks. My husband wanted his daughter's punishment to match the crime. Since his daughter made fun of the other girl's financial situation, my husband wants his daughter to feel like how it is to be extremely poor. The other family isn't extremely poor, by the way. His plan for his daughter is to go to school with poor hygiene for 3 days. No shower, no deodorant, no brushing of the teeth, and reused clothes. I told him if he goes through with this plan, I will divorce him. Listen, I like the premise. I don't like the execution. I don't think he should make his daughter feel how it is to be extremely poor, but making her go volunteer where she helps poor people, I think is the answer here. Not making her go to school with poor hygiene. That is cruel and unusual. I think it's perfectly okay for OP to be like, I will divorce you if you make your daughter do that, because that is not a fair punishment for anybody. Have her help out at soup kitchens or food banks. I think that's way better because that'll give her more perspective. Poor does not equal dirty. That is also a good thing to teach people. He's damaging the daughter's health. I think this is the one I'm most concerned with. So here's the thing, Mitsu. I agree. I think there needs to be a sitting down conversation with the daughter. I'm guessing that's already happened, but then also I do think you should take action when it comes to punishing your kids. Not necessarily like physical, but like have them volunteer somewhere where they can get perspective perspective about, number one, what it means to be poor, and number two, it's not something you should be insulting people with. Like, this is how Republicans are made. We should be supporting the poor, not putting them down. The fact that this man thinks all people who are struggling is unhygienic shows where she got that idea from in the first place. That could be true. He could be kind of a bad father. I understand how he got to the poor hygiene part, because I think when privileged people think of like poor people, they probably go to the absolute opposite side of the end that they can think of, which is probably like a homeless person who hasn't showered, doesn't take care of themselves, stuff like that. So I understand how he got there. I just think there needs to be education for him as well as the child that like that isn't all encompassing of poor, and poor shouldn't be something you put down others with. Like, that's not something like going around being like, ha, you're poor is like a fucking awful thing to do. There is a quick little update on this one. It's 2 lines. My stepdaughter is safe. My daughter is safe. I'm safe. And I will divorce my husband. I don't think I should share too much. I mean, smart. Probably you're divorcing and there's legal involved 100%. But that's a little scary. Ooh, humiliation is not punishment. It's cruelty. That's a good thing to point out as well. Ooh, shit like that is what gets kids taken away from their parents, is he wants CPS to get called on him. That's a good point too. Yeah, like as a teacher, you're like, hey, you don't look so good. And they're like, yeah, my dad is punishing me by not letting me shower. That's CPS level, like mandatory reporting level type shit. I didn't even think about that. Holy fuck. Am I the a-hole for telling a woman at the gym that she's embarrassing herself? Really quick, if you're enjoying this podcast and you can think of somebody who would also enjoy these Reddit stories, it would mean the world to me if you shared this podcast with that person. That is by far the best way you can help me grow this podcast, is by your word of mouth, and I would greatly appreciate it. Along with that, if you guys ever share a story of you listening to the podcast or even just a screenshot and you tag me on Instagram, on Snapchat, I always reply, interact, and repost those to my stories. My Instagram and Snapchat handles are below. As always, not required, but definitely appreciated. I go to the gym a lot. About 6-ish months ago, I noticed a woman I'll call Andrea. That's not her real name, but it will be for the rest of this post. I don't know if Andrea started going to the gym 6 months ago, or if that's just when I noticed her. Full disclosure, I spoke to her first, but I had no way of knowing what the result would be. A lot of the machines at this gym have little entertainment systems attached to them that can access local channels. I got on a treadmill and realized the TV on the treadmill wasn't working. Andrea was walking past and I said, hey, do you know if there's an issue with the cable? This TV isn't working, but I don't know if it's just this one or all of them. She said the same thing happened to her on a different machine. I thanked her, and that was the whole interaction. A week later, she asked me for some electrolyte powder for her water. I said I didn't have any. She was cool with that and asked me how long I'd been coming to the gym and what I did for work. I answered and returned her questions. She said she was new to the area and worked in private security. We had a few more chill conversations after that. 6 weeks ago, she asked me out. For reasons I won't get into here, I wasn't interested. I declined. She said not to worry about things being awkward at the gym if we don't work out. I said that wasn't the issue, just not looking to date right now. She kept talking to me, and at first I kept talking to her, but I started to think something might go wrong, and I started avoiding her. 2 weeks ago, she walked up to me while I was on a machine with only one way to properly dismount that involved stepping into where she was standing. She asked if I was avoiding her. I said I was and apologized. I said I just don't want to date right now. She said I don't have to avoid her to not date her. I said okay. I kept avoiding her though. Tonight while I was working out, she confronted me again about avoiding her. I had a bad day and told her to leave me alone. She asked why I'm being such a prick, and I said because I wanted her to leave me alone. I then said that she was embarrassing herself and needs to stop. She put her foot on top of the weights and I thought she was going to press down on them. So I let go of the bar very quickly, causing the weights to slam and make a loud noise. Several people looked over. I mean, that's just dangerous. What kind of lift were you doing? Also, she's talking to you mid-set? That's like gym etiquette 101. If somebody is in the middle of lifting, unless it's dire or some shit could potentially happen, like don't fucking talk to somebody. Like let them finish what they're doing and then talk to them while they're resting. So the weight slammed down. Several people looked over. She said, now who's embarrassing himself, and walked away. Did I go too far by saying that? Do I owe her an apology? Man or woman, because OP never specified their gender here, not the a-hole. This is harassment. And like, we're more used to men harassing women because like, I'll say it happens way more than women harassing men. That being said, women can still harass men. Oh my God, I haven't actually talked about it on this stream and I can't do it in this one, but y'all, like, I dead ass got harassed at a bachelor party, actually sexually harassed at a bachelor party by a girl who, like, to her credit, she was kind of young, but like, I don't think she was realizing like she's sexually harassing me. And women can harass men. It's just a little bit different because I feel like men threaten women more than women threaten men. Like, I didn't feel threatened. I was just very, very annoyed. That being said, like, if you say no to a date, girl or guy, you take that no and you walk away. Take it to the chest, be like, oh, okay, they're not interested. Which, by the way, y'all, I don't know what motherfucker needs to hear this, but there is power actually in saying no. I actually think you have more of a likelihood of them changing their no to a yes in the future if you take that no to your chest and you're like, okay, cool, whatever, and you walk away and act nonchalant. Not gonna lie, y'all, I've had some girls that I've asked on dates, they said no, and then I was like, all right, cool, and then I never talked to them again, and then like months, maybe years later, they came back later and they're like, oh, like, you're cute, like maybe we should do that date thing, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Dead ass, you guys. The power of taking a no to the chest. It's very mature. It's honestly very attractive. We should teach more men to respect no, and women, but mainly men. Sorry guys, I'm gonna take the opportunity to be a man hater whenever I can, okay? Here's the thing. I'm assuming OP is a man. I don't know. I mean, I guess it could not be traditional gender roles, but if we knew for a fact that OP was a woman and this lady was a man, we would not be saying OP could have been more tactful. We would never have been like, the woman could be more tactful to not be harassed by the man. And I think we need to give the same energy here. It doesn't matter how tactful OP is, the woman should not be harassing him. Hey, I'm a man hater till the day I die, but I will try to not hate on a man if no hate is merited. And I don't think it's merited here. I actually would like to advocate for him here. Also, what kind of gym are you going to where it's like embarrassing to drop weights? Like, maybe we're talking Planet Fitness here, but I go to gyms where slamming weights means that guy's buff as fuck. Like, if somebody drops weight and you look over and there's fucking 315 pounds on it, you're like, bro, I get it. I try not to shit on people who try to like work out and stuff. Like, go you, do your thing. I get it. Planet Fitness is cheap. And I love that it makes working out more accessible to everyone. But catch me fucking dead at a Planet Fitness. I would never ask someone for electrolyte powder at the gym. That is such a weird thing. I've never asked anybody for anything at the gym other than like, hey, are you done with that machine? Even people I know, back when I lived in Minnesota and like I knew people from the gym, I wouldn't go up to them and ask them randomly for electrolyte powder. Like, who the fuck? First update on the post. I went in early this morning for a run and told the front desk staff about Andrea putting her foot on the weights. They said they would talk to her. Then after work, I went in again for a regular workout. I was working on my legs when she walked up to my machine. The first thing she did was apologize about the weights. I don't know if someone talked to her or if that was her own initiative. I accepted her apology and apologized for saying she was embarrassing herself. She said she forgave me, but if I wanted to really make it up to her, I could buy her a drink and she would buy me one too to make up for the weights. You're so fucking close, dog. You're so close to being a regular human being who doesn't make people uncomfortable. It's so easy. You just apologize and walk away. I said maybe we should buy our own drinks, meaning separately at different places and times, and she misunderstood me and asked when and where. I told her I meant that I didn't want to go out with her. She said this wouldn't be a date, but a reset for our friendship. I said I didn't want to be friends. She said I was being a douche and asked what my problem is. I said the weight incident made me uncomfortable and I would rather us just give each other space. She then asked me if my problem with her is that she's Hispanic. I was so taken aback. I didn't even know she was until she said that. I said no, that she just makes me uncomfortable. That's fucking crazy, dog. Listen, y'all, I am all here for a "is it 'cause I'm Asian" joke to my friends, where the only appropriate response to that is yes, in the context of us being friends and joking around to each other. To actually say that to someone unprompted and not for a good reason. It's not like he called you a Hispanic slur or said something like racist to you. You just fucking, oh, you don't want to go out on a date with me? Oh, is it because I'm Hispanic? Like, what? I think I'd lose my shit if someone said that to me. I would probably laugh at them. I'd be like, oh, that's a funny joke. Like, what? She wanted me to explain what about her made me uncomfortable, and I tried to do so, but she argued with every point I made. I got frustrated and told her to just stay away from me. She said fine, and that I have a lot of maturing to do. Then she walked away. I'm hoping that's the end of it. I mean, if it ain't the teapot calling the kettle black, or maybe it's the opposite. You guys know what I fucking mean. That's crazy, dog. I think you gotta switch gyms. Like, it sounds like you go to Planet Fitness anyways. Just get the fuck out of there anyways, dog. Whatever happened to people just minding their own fucking business at the gym? I would probably lose my mind if someone said that to me at the gym. I would be like, what did you say? I would literally be like, so how did you get that? I would literally just play 21 questions with them and be like, what made you think me saying no to a date was because you're Hispanic? Like, I would fuck with her till the end of the world. Update 2. Andrea is banned from the gym. I was running on the treadmill and watching TV. She came up to talk to me and I ignored her, staring at the TV. She raised her voice and I continued to ignore her. She reached out and pulled the safety tab out of the treadmill. The one you connect to your wrist so the treadmill stops if you fall, causing the treadmill to come to a sudden stop. I tripped and fell into the controls and the TV, scratching my chin on the top of the screen. Dog, for all intents and purposes, that's assault. Like, I don't know how many of y'all have experience running on a treadmill and what happens when you pull that tab, but it is abrupt. That is dangerous as hell. I went to the front desk with Andrea following me. I told them what she did. She kept trying to interrupt me and talk over me, but the woman at the front desk told her to be quiet and wait her turn. I told her Andrea pulled out the safety tab while I was running and injured me. The woman at the front desk then asked Andrea what happened, and Andrea said I was staring into the middle distance, like I was in some kind of fugue state, and she thought I was having a medical episode, so she pulled the tab. I could be so unbelievably wrong because I'm a YouTuber, not a goddamn doctor. But to me, there is no such thing as a fugue state where you're also running on a fucking treadmill. That's crazy. The woman at the front desk asked for her membership card. Andrea didn't want to give it to her, but the woman at the front desk said if she didn't, she would ban her. Andrea gave her the card and the woman at the front desk said to leave, and she was suspended for a month. Okay, that's not really banned. Are they really that money hungry? Do they really need a woman who fucking literally assaulted someone mid-run? That's insane. Andrea objected and got into an argument with the woman at the front desk that escalated into Andrea calling the woman an N-word and the B-word. So she was banned permanently. So let me get this straight. You pulled the "it's because I'm Hispanic" card and then dropped the N-word? I mean, that's dropped on your head too much as a child. Level intelligence right there. I hesitate to call that a happy ending because the poor gym employee had to put up with racial harassment, but I won't deny getting to watch her cut up Andrea's membership card felt good. You could go after her legally. I don't know if that's something you want to do, but bro, she, in my opinion, for all intents and purposes, she assaulted you. OP got assaulted 100%. If y'all know how those treadmill stoppers work, it's a miracle that all he got was a scratch on the chin. You fall the wrong way, you slam your head into the treadmill easily. Not to mention the damage of like falling and shit. Oh my God. As somebody who runs on the treadmill like every day, that's actually so fucking scary. Pull that video feed of OP's assault. Dude, I would be like, yo, I need that video feed. I need that evidence. The last update is just titled Andrea the Gym Nut. Last night, I went to a bar near my apartment to meet up with some friends. The three of us were drinking and having a good time when Andrea walked up. Bro, is this girl fucking stalking you? I never saw her enter the bar. I only noticed her when she was in front of us. She greeted me and said it was good to see me and leaned in to try to kiss me. I pushed her away from me and she fell, but one of my friends caught her. She started yelling and asking what the fuck is wrong with me. I told her to stay away from me and not come any closer. She asked if I was embarrassed of her and didn't want my friends to see her. Yo, this girl needs a grippy sock vacation. ASAP Rocky. I said this is the third time you've tried to assault me and I want you to stay away from me. At that point, the bouncer showed up to ask what was going on. Andrea said I pushed her. I tried to explain that she tried to kiss me and is stalking me, but I was drunk and not doing a great job. My friends also tried to explain that I was innocent, but they were also drunk. Security kicked me out of the bar. My friends walked me home. I am definitely going to try to get a restraining order. This has gone way too far. If some crazy shit like this happens to you, if there's video evidence of somebody, in my opinion, assaulting you via treadmill stoppage, Get a video of it. Keep it on your phone, because if you had that video and this bouncer walks up, I would be like, hey, look what this fucking bitch did to me. That's crazy. I hope OP goes after her legally. It's been 28 days and maybe there will be another update on this. That's the last one, chat. Damn. Listen, y'all, I'll say it because I get a lot of comments about me being a man hater, which, don't get me wrong, I feel like my default is man hater, but I also think if your default isn't man hater, that's a red flag. In the world we live in, I don't think that's just an opinion. I think that's fact. That being said, I only hate on men when it comes up in the story. Like, I will hold a woman accountable. I have talked shit about the women who do bad things in stories. I've even talked shit about women who maybe don't deserve to get the full brunt of the talk shit, just like I probably do the same thing with men on that too. I call it how it is. Is my leaning a little bit towards man hate? Of course. But that's just because I have animosity towards men because there are a lot of bad ones. There's no reason to hate on this man, but there are so many reasons to hate on her. Exactly, Lava. 100%. If a woman gives me a reason to hate on her, I'll hate on her. I'll hate on her all day. All right. But what typically happens is the men give me a lot more reasons to hate on them.